up, guys? How's it going? Good afternoon here. Good evening in the UK. What is it? What time is it here? It's 12:49 p.m. So morning in the on the West Coast. Happy morning, whatever. Um, yeah, we're about to. I should have called this Snowmageddon Part Two because um yeah, let me I have to look at this again. The last time I looked, it was like 20 centimeters of snow. I don't know what that is in inches, but it's a lot. Let me just double check here now. Update it. Let's see here. Now 25. It went to 15, sorry, 10 to 15, then 15 to 20, and then 20, and now 25. 25 centimeters of friggin' snow. We don't need any more snow. It's the end of February, March. Time to fucking move on. Excuse me, move on. But how you guys doing? Hey Adrian, hey Joe, good to see you, Tim, NH, Mark, good to see you guys. And let's see, I just want to make sure I get everybody in chat there. Yeah, welcome guys. Thanks for tuning in. Matt, Mr. Secret Vault might be joining in a bit. Hey Sab, how are you? I'm sure we'll chat about a few things that have been uh, ruffling the internet world if you want. Let me just see. Including Daryl Taft Tipton. I'm sure we'll talk about him. Who knows? Anything's up, right? Anything's on the table. So, yeah. So what's the weather like there? Hey, Della, how are you? Good to see you. Always great to see you, Della. Always great to see you. And here we go. The Mr. Secret Vault himself, Matt Williams.
Hello, I lost the ability to stop your other stream, so hang on.
My
I don't know where it is. I've got two things running here. Oh, there it is. Right, it's hidden. Yeah. Okay.
So how are we doing?
Not too bad. And yourself?
I'm not too bad. Not too bad. I just awaiting. We're supposed to get another storm here, like 25 centimeters of snow.
Yeah, but that's why you live in Canada, because you love that shit.
But come on, didn't you know? I was actually watching a YouTube video, and excuse me. Apparently, our governments, the UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, apparently are all conjuring up this new global superpower together. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
No.
What is it? The Dominion that's already in place? Is
Well,
is the
the
UK
New
looking
World
to?
Order.
Yeah, is England wanting to collect its debts?
Yeah. So what is this new axis of power going to be equally controlled amongst the three of them, or is it going to be America thinking it controls the rest? That sounds a bit more like it.
I don't even think the US has anything to do with it. But hold on, let me see if I can find the. And they start off with talking about how Cambodia, how it was like really, it was a poor country at one point, and they had to figure out something, and they created the Asian, like an Asian network, and all the, at first it was with Malaysia or something in Singapore, and then all of a sudden Thailand and all these other countries, Indonesia, all these other countries came in, and yeah, exactly. NH has got it. Kanzuk. That's what apparently it's called. But there's a link in chat there if anybody wants to check it out. But
okay,
I mean, a new global superpower. Come on. I mean, I can't see that ever happening. in this day and age. Well, then again, in this day and age, anything's possible. But
Bloody hell, you made me jump then. You went, oh! Like, what?
I love your shirt, by the way. Adidas. Oh, Area 51. Love it, man. That's a cool shirt.
Yeah.
That's a cool shirt.
Made by aliens at Area 51.
Yeah, and made by aliens. Stamp.
Sweatshops, they got it full of aliens.
Yeah,
Humans
sweatshop.
whipping them. Make more shirts.
So, okay. There's been a lot of buzz about this Daryl Taft, Taffy, Tafton.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
What?
Do I really want to get into it? Yeah, I probably do. Yeah.
I don't know much. Like I said, I don't know much about this guy, but I remember hearing him, especially on your show being mentioned a few times and here and there. But I mean, this guy, what? He's an urban explorer, whatever. What like what's it?
Yeah, he's like an urban explorer, and he does stuff with well, he used to do stuff with like a little camping channel that he had where he was, putting together things in a forest and filming it. But I don't think it was that successful. But I went out and did some explores with him. I found him a bit sketchy at times, and then I kind of considered him a friend. But when I was in court, I trusted him with some information about the court case because I'd just come out of court. And I said, don't tell anybody. And he went and blurted it across the internet. And then I rang him up and I said, Taffy, giving him the benefit of the doubt, what are you doing, man? I asked you not to say anything to anybody. He goes, you never said fuck all to me about anything. Why didn't you fuck up, you horrible cunt? I hope you get fucking done by the police and fucking get thrown in jail, you horrible cunt. That's what he said to me. And that was somebody I thought was a friend. And he just went, bang, off like a fucking firework. So yeah,
but it goes to show you, hey, you can't really trust anybody. You really can't.
But you can't trust anybody. But I mean, people that are close to you and you sort of like done a lot of stuff with, you just think that they kind of be a bit more sensible than that. But I think he's got some
loose scruples.
Yeah, he's come out with some stuff in the past which is like really crazy stuff, like I stopped the live stream once when he was starting to like talk about some of it. I just went no, and I stopped the stream because he was coming out with this stuff saying that he'd shot a 13-year-old kid when he was a security guard looking after Noel Gallagher, and I'm like,
are you kidding me?
No.
Holy crap.
And I thought it was an isolated incident, like he was just telling us this. And I found out, no, he's told other people this over the years. It's a repeating story he tells people. It's like, so, okay, you shot him with a... So I was chatting to him about it on the show. And I said, so, okay, then, so what did you shoot this kid with? And he's like, oh, with my, like, my pistol, And I said, oh, so did you have training for this? Oh, yeah, we had to go on a special training course to use a pistol and all that. I'm like, oh, great, okay. Funny that, because nobody apart from the police is allowed to carry weapons. No security guards in the United Kingdom. It's against the law. Yeah. So where does this story come from? And at that point, I ended the stream because I'm just like, this guy's coming across like crazy time. But I still didn't sort of like push him away. I just had a quiet chat with him the day later. And I said, look, Taff, I think you need to realize that some of your memories are faulty. Okay, because some of your stories don't add up in any way, shape, or form. And I said, and you should be able to prove that to yourself by just by typing into Google, do security guards carry guns? So what I have to ask you is, if that story you can prove to yourself is not true, what else is not true about what you say? Just saying, so what I'm saying to you is I sympathize with the fact that you're probably got some things rattling around in your head, but you've got a lot of stories about things that have happened in your family, people you physically attacked. I think he talked about stabbing his dad in the neck with a knife.
Holy crap.
And it's like all this, and I'm saying like, but did this stuff really happen, Taff? That's the thing. I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't want to judge you against what you're telling me has happened in your life.
So I
because I'm
mean,
not sure it's true.
yeah, you're giving this guy
Yeah.
the total benefit of the doubt, and this guy's just like, wow, holy crap.
Yeah. So, I mean, all I'm saying is to people is you've just got to realize that like some of his stuff doesn't add up.
Mm,
There's times when he can be a perfectly nice chap, and I've got on with him really well.
mhm.
We've had a great time, had a great laugh, but he's got problems, and I don't think he's 100% able to tell fact from fiction in his brain. Um, that's sad. I feel sorry for him, but
Yeah.
at the same time, it makes me very wary about then wanting to go out and do more explores with him.
Yeah.
Because I don't want people that could be unreliable, or like he could look at me maybe if he can make this, if he thinks this stuff is real. And that's what I was trying to get through to him. I said, if you think this stuff is really real, I think you need to go and get some help, because you need to sort this stuff out. Like, you need to sort out the fact from the fiction, because you believe that you've committed some really, like, horrible acts in your life. Maybe you didn't, but you literally have. And I spoke to people who knew him, and they said, oh, he's been telling me that for years as well. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, if he's walking around with all this negative shit going on in his head that he thinks has happened. And I said,
Mhm.
but it's like it's to me, or anyone that hears it, it's like a tissue. It's not a tissue of nonsense. I wouldn't say a tissue of lies, because I'm not saying he's lying, but it's a tissue of nonsense, which is so easy to just tear apart, and
Yeah.
he can't see that. He can't see it. It's like mental block, something going on. And I said, you need to sort some of that out. I hope you do get some help, Taft, but I can't really have you spouting complete bullshit like that on the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like, we can see it. You may
Mhm.
not be able to see it, but we can. And you can, check that one story out there, for yourself, and see, like, you couldn't have had a gun, Taffy. You couldn't have been trained to use it by a security company, because that doesn't happen.
No, I mean, like,
Mm.
other people that you associate with, knowing this is going on, have they sort of, have you found they've sort of distanced yourself, but themselves from you, like, because of this?
What? Because he was in the newspaper? We haven't talked
Yeah.
about the fact he was
Yeah,
just in the
well, that
newspaper.
that that
Yeah,
that
yeah,
now, but even
yeah,
before that, with him being off the way it is, and you giving him the benefit of the doubt, but also telling him, look it, man, like, you really need to rethink a lot of this stuff.
I mean, I did send his, like, really nasty message he sent. I sent that to a few people we know, and
Mm,
I think some people did distance themselves from him, because
yeah,
they were like, "Whoa, man," And I said, "Well, it's like, you think people are your friends, and then they do shit like that, And it's like, I said, I don't know what's going on in his head, but there's a lot of anger and aggression and mixed up thoughts that are just rattling around in there, and now I'm some sort of enemy that he has to go and shit on like that.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And it's like, so, and they were like, whoa. So yeah, a couple of people did. And I've kind of mentioned, like, I think I've mentioned on the show about it. I
mhm,
talked about it last night because of what happened with him in the newspaper, to Brady last night publicly about it. And I think people do need to be aware that if you're kind of hanging around with him, that he can flip. There's
yeah,
this flip, and he himself has admitted on his own show
mhm,
quite openly, where he has talked about violence a lot. I'm a violent man. I'm a tough man. I'm this and that. I'll kick this person. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I'm like, you try to calm him down sometimes, but
yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
you kind of take it with a pinch of salt, laugh it off. But I mean, you're not really supposed to be saying things like that, on a YouTube channel, and so,
no,
like, instigation of violence, threats of violence towards people. You're not really supposed to do that.
no,
But, he thinks it's cool. He thinks it's okay. Um, but that's, by the by, like, that's his responsibility. I don't want to host. I don't want to be host to it. I kind of,
mhm,
like, I played it off when he does stuff like that. I go, yeah, but of course Taffy's just kidding.
yeah. Taffy's
But
being Taffy.
yeah, Taffy's just being Taffy, and laugh
Yeah,
it off.
yeah,
But then, you find out a little bit more about what's been going on, and there was this newspaper article came out of the blue, and you find out, no, he is a bit violent as well, you know,
yeah,
and he's
like.
hidden the fact that he's been to court in 2019 for violence.
Oh wow. Oh,
And he's played off a scenario where he beat somebody up, but it was all justified and the police thanked him for it. It doesn't sound like they did. It sounded like you got done for it and you went to court and you got prosecuted for it. So
yeah.
like his version of events is like he was the good guy and the police thanked him. I seem to remember something like that sort of being said. And it was against somebody who was like, causing crap for a girlfriend or something like that, of his, or somebody he knew. So he stepped in and went and did something. I think it's like he's got a really fucked up family situation as well, which is like, his brother is sleeping with his ex-girlfriend or something
Jeez.
like this. It's more screwed up than that. There's like, it's kind of like cousin,
Wow.
brother, sister. It's maybe even like a sister or something. It's like really fucked up. Yeah. I don't want to misquote, so I'm just going to go. I can't remember, to be honest, because my memory's not like perfect on that one. But yeah, that's kind of like screwy, and he hasn't got on with his dad, for a long time. So he's kind of estranged from the family, which I can understand if he's kind of got a few mental issues. Maybe he's kicked off a few times and they keep distance. Might be from their side. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. It might be them being bastards. It might be he's been a bit of a bastard. I don't know. But
maybe his father was violent as well, right? Like, I mean,
maybe, yeah. Yeah. And I think he said his dad was in jail, or it's all sorts of stuff. Anyway, yeah. Anyhow, moving on. Yeah. But I mean, this is not like, I'm not giving a character assassination here. He said these things on his channel.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm just repeating back. You go and watch his live streams. I'm just repeating back to you, what he said. But it all adds up to kind of like maybe a bit of upset, kind of like distancing from family, and then stories about issues with partners and possibly violence and owing money and all sorts of like shenanigans and things like that. And then bang, out of the blue comes this story in the newspapers that he's got involved with, Yeah, I mean, it's not the end of the world. I mean, but it was an embarrassing article for sure, because they ripped into him something rotten. The Daily Mail, they really did a number on him. They called him a thug, and then they talked about how he broke into the set of the TV show "I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here" or whatever. He broke in there, which he boasted about doing multiple times. I said, "You are going to get yourself arrested and prosecuted for this."
So he posted about it on his YouTube channel. Oh wow! Holy crap!
Yeah, he got in the newspapers for it at the time, so he thought it was cool. So he went back and did it again. Well, that becomes aggravated trespass. Now, he's really lucky he didn't get prosecuted, or maybe that's in the pipeline, but he's not told anybody, because like nobody knew about this 2019 thing either. So he's just been prosecuted now and pled guilty, but apparently the newspaper says he was held in remand. He was held in. He wasn't given bail. They kept him in.
Yeah.
So he might have been in for a couple of weeks in the police custody. So they wouldn't let him out. So that kind of tells you about, like, maybe they know that he's a little bit unstable, or there was
there's a lot. There's a lot of shit there that he's obviously, like you mentioned, he's not mentioning to anyone else.
Yeah.
That's probably caused them to say, "Hey, look it. Maybe we need to hold on to this guy a little bit longer and see."
So maybe there's some facts. Newspapers get things wrong, but they did write that he was kept in. They wrote that there was a previous conviction, which they must have heard about because they were in the court listening to the case, and they've connected it with him being a YouTuber, and that he's a troublemaker who likes to break into TV sets and things like that. Which I think, it was kind of harmless what he did, but I do think it was pushing for trouble going back a second time, because it happened to Ali Law, and Taffy knew the Ali Law case where he did something similar. He went into a TV set and they kicked him out, and it was like, ha 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 ha, but then he went back twice, and that's when they prosecuted him. So, it really, I mean, maybe there is something happening that, we don't know about, but I hope for his benefit, not. But because I mean, it's not fun to be prosecuted for things. But he the writing was on the wall, and he was pushing that like danger button of maybe he wanted to kind of get that publicity of getting prosecuted and in the papers, but he's got it the wrong way now. It's kind of
Some people are like that, though. I mean, some people, they don't care about what if it's good or bad. As long as it's some sort of exposure, it doesn't matter. We'll weather the badness. Who gives a shit? It brings more attention to me, and that's what I want.
yeah.
There's a lot of people like that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, as Della said in the chat, I can understand the attraction of breaking into a TV set, and showing how you got past the security and all
Yeah.
that. But she says twice, I don't get it. I agree.
Yeah.
Twice, it's like it's like stalky behavior.
Yeah.
It's like obsessive behavior, and it is dealt with then not as trespass. It's criminal trespass, aggravated trespass.
And we're talking,
so
where the crew was staying up, and what is it? The crew and the cast or whatever.
yeah,
Even
I
there,
think
where there is
the concern was from the security firm that were running the security was they were there to stop COVID getting in there, because if COVID got in and infected the stars of the show, it would ruin the show, and it's a multi-million-pound production. So that was their big thing, is like, we don't want the public getting in, and we're screening all our staff to keep to stop anyone getting COVID, because we don't want it to shut down production. And it was during a storm where the winds were so bad they had to shut down production, because there was a risk of injury, like some sets getting blown over and things like that. So it's like with aircraft, somebody might think it's kind of fun to shine a laser at an aircraft, but then the police helicopter is going to go up. It's going to cost £800 an hour to try and track you down, and they might have to divert the aircraft and divert other aircraft. And if they do that, then there's delays, and it costs thousands of pounds per minute in fuel. For these aircraft. So you're just racking up thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds worth of costs just because you want to have a bit of fun. You know what I mean? So there are complications, ramifications. I like to think that what we do when we go in places, it doesn't really cost anybody any money, because the security is meant to be they're being paid to be security, so it's their job. And if we're there, then okay, they have to come out and sort of do something about it, but they're being paid to do it. So it's a little bit different.
How often have you had to deal with security?
Loads.
Yeah, and most of the time, majority of the time, how does it turn out?
Most of the time, they just usher you on, and that's it. Sometimes they want to hold you there because they call the police, and they want a big spectacle of you getting dealt with by the police, and then the police let you go.
Yeah,
so
police don't really give it. They don't care, do they?
No, I mean they're there to find out, what are you doing, where are you from, are you doing anything illegal, have you damaged anything getting in? No damage, no crime, trespass, don't come back. But security guards sometimes don't get that, so they want, because they lead pretty boring lives, and I get that. They sitting there waiting for something to happen. When it happens, they want to just rev it up, to create most excitement they possibly can, because they don't get much excitement.
Exactly.
But I think that's irresponsible behavior by security guards. You see it a lot, and they seem to want the police to come and wipe their asses for them and deal with this problem for them, when they're quite capable of dealing with it themselves.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, I wouldn't imagine these people are trained in security, right? And whoever trains them has probably said, like, yeah, if anything happens, just call the police. Because we don't want to deal with them. We don't want to get out. We don't want to question them. We don't want to, deal with them. Just call the police. But the thing is, it's like, you're a security firm, and you're just delegating all of your responsibilities of what you're meant to be doing to the police, and treating them like unpaid employees who'll just come out anytime you call them and deal with your shit. That's wrong.
Have you ever been contacted by like somebody who works security at a place and say, "Hey, look, I can get you into a place.
Yeah,
or I can tell you how to get in there."
Yeah, quite a few times.
I've had a few people similar scenario where they've said, "Look at, hey, I know how to get in. Would you like to know?"
Sometimes they've been with us and off camera and showed us in and following us around, but we've kept made sure they're not on camera.
Yeah, yeah,
Sometimes they just tell us about it, tell us how to get in, and maybe leave a door open or tell us, we'll leave the alarms off, go and have some fun, and then we'll put it all on after you've left.
yeah.
It's nice when they do it. But I always tend to think to myself, is this a trap? So
Yeah, that's the thing. Is it a trap?
yeah, yeah.
Do you guys tip them? Here you go. Here's a few bucks for letting us in.
I haven't done. I haven't done, but
Yeah,
I've thanked them.
yeah.
But it's actually a thought. What we have done this now, I remember what some of the lads have done,
Yeah.
and I should probably do more often. But I agreed with it. They bought some alcohol for one of the guards and
Oh,
took
yeah.
it to him and just handed it over and said, "There, thanks for what you did for us."
That's
And
cool.
being chilled, being a good security guard, because they didn't let us in at this location. They didn't let us in, but when they caught us, they were very cool and let us carry on exploring, just watch what we were doing. And then because they were so cool, we thanked them for that, because you don't always meet security guards like that. So
No, most of them are
yeah,
pretty like, yeah.
yeah,
What the hell are you doing? They're like, I want to be a cop.
yeah,
I'm not a cop. I'm a stupid security guard. You know.
yeah.
So they got that like chip on their shoulder.
I mean, to be honest, it hasn't happened directly to me. If it had, I
Yeah.
probably would, give some sort of thanks to these people. But I'm imagining something like that may have happened between the people who did organize it, and we turned up and they knew the security people and they organized it. So I imagine something like that may have gone on, but it's between them and yeah.
Uh,
And believe it or not, Taffy arranged one of those once.
yeah.
He knew somebody and got us into a place, and yeah, it was a good explore. And I think he probably, said thanks in some way to that person. I'm sure, I'm sure he did. So I mean, we've had our good times, and this is why I want to stress. Like, I mean, I don't hate Taffy.
No, nobody's saying that.
I feel sorry for him,
Yeah.
because he's obviously got some issues. But at the same time, I don't want to be barked at by somebody and given a load of stupid shit, and then you know have confidence is betrayed. I can't I can't be having that around me, so I have distanced myself from him. But yeah, I'm just trying to think now. Yeah, this event happened recently, so I'm assuming he's having problems holding down his temper recently, and that's where this has come from. And it's quite sad, because now he's on a community order. I don't know exactly what that means, but I suppose it means, like, I think he got off extremely lightly.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I never laid fingers on somebody that I went to court with, and I got a 200-hour community service. And it's like he just gets 120 quid fine.
Wow.
And like and an order not to do it again. I would have loved to have had something like that. So, it's like when you lay fists on somebody and injure them with assault, you get nothing. But when you do what I did, which was, I don't think it was that bad, trying to inform people about things they needed to know, and somebody didn't like it. But I can't really talk much more than that about it, because I'm not supposed to, I'm supposed to
Exactly.
talk about things. But just to give an example of how unfair that system is,
Yeah.
yeah, it does depend on the judge. Yeah. And some of them like whip you, and some of them go, "Oh, off you go, you poor person." You know what I mean?
It's like going in there and going in front of the judge, and you got like a tick, like you got fines, like tickets, and saying, "Look at," like, come on, can you just drop it? It's a small, like, fine. Are you the first time? Is this the first time you got in there? Is this the first time you got a ticket? What kind of person? Look at your background, blah blah blah. Most of them will just go, just drop it down 20 points, blah blah blah. Whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then see you later. Pay the fine, boom, gone. We're all
Yeah.
good. We're all good.
No, I had bad luck with the judge that I was with, for
Yeah.
certain. Yeah. Yeah, he
And
didn't want to listen to anything I had to say. He didn't want to look at the evidence we had, and just
yeah.
basically went guilty. And you're up, and he gave me a real ticking off and threw the book at me. So,
Yeah. Some of them, damn well, as soon as you walk in there, or as soon as the judge walks in there, you're like, oh, I'm fucked.
yeah. I mean,
I'm screwed.
I was told I was going to. He told me I was going to go to jail for 3 months, and to prepare myself for it. So I did. I prepared myself for it. I paid my landlady up front, and we're talking about, this is me just using my mouth, yeah,
Yeah.
right, not fists, yeah, just my mouth,
Yeah.
yeah, and I was going to do 3 months in jail, whereas somebody who
Ouch.
does use their fists,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
just gets 120 quid fine.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, what's in your mind? Which is worse? Come on, violence, fist,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
words? I
Yeah.
mean, let's not. Words can be pretty, harmful, I guess, if you will. But I mean, still, that's screwed up.
I think it's, in 2 years' time, well, less than that now, I will be able to talk about it,
Yeah.
and I will tell everybody what went on, and you
Yeah.
will be shocked. But at the moment, I am barred
Yeah.
from going into
Yeah.
the details.
Yeah.
But I will very much have something to say on this when that time is up. And my memory is very clear on exactly what happened. And there were people there who were witnesses to it, because a lot of people came because they were supportive to me, because they thought I was going to go to jail that day. And what they saw was that we all just went out and we were like, well, I'm really glad I'm not going to jail. But
Yeah.
what the fuck just happened in that court? Because that was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you did. I remember you did mention, certain things on your channel about it, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, what you could. So
Yeah. But I literally can't go into it because of
yeah,
restrictions,
obviously,
So,
yeah.
mm,
That's crazy. That's just
yeah.
um,
Mm,
with the like, have you gone into like a location that
mm.
you're going, okay, well, look, we can't do this. We can't just do this in a couple hours. We're gonna have to come back and do like this in a couple parts. Like
Yeah.
there's just no way. And why is that? It's just because it's just too large. It's just too complicated. What are the aspects
Yes.
as to why?
There's some places that have been like that. I'm just trying to think now. Uh, some of the stuff out on the water in the Solent, like we did
Yeah,
one at a time, because there were three floating, well, not floating, three basically constructed islands, which had forts on them. So these forts, you could only really do one at a time, and yeah, apparently they're saying your sound is not as loud as mine. So if you can
okay.
turn you or turn me down, or turn me down or turn you up.
Let me see. I'll
Yeah,
double check. Hold on.
yeah.
I don't know
Anyway,
what's
just
going on.
just
That's probably what it is. I just want to make sure that the
yeah.
audio, for some reason, it seems to be okay on this end.
Okay.
I don't know. Hold on.
So what you can do is just chat
How
like normal
how
and
do I
turn it up and
sound now?
down in StreamYard. You can kind of turn me down,
Yeah.
so I match you then if you want, or I can do it.
How do I sound now?
I'll do it. There we are. I'm a bit quieter now, so I should be more like you, hopefully. Tell us in the chat if that's good.
Yeah, tell us.
Um,
Yeah, how that is.
yeah.
Yeah, I checked. Everything seems to be okay.
Yeah, some of
Audio
them are
seems
saying
fine.
it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
You're- okay. Good.
So we aim to please. Yeah. So yeah, we have to do those because getting the boat out and tying it up and then exploring and doing all of that is hard to do, more than one thing in a day. So yeah, we got there in the morning, explored it throughout the day, and then we got back and it was getting dark, after we did one.
Yeah.
So just one. and it took that long, So, and we did, we hung out and cooked some food on one of the places as well because we
Oh
were
yeah.
obviously out there for such a long time. But yeah, so yeah, there's been places like that, and sometimes I go back with a different camera setup, like shoot it in a different, like I've done, go back to a place, shoot it in 3D, go back, shoot it in 360, go back, to do it again, so it's more detail because people like that extra detail. Like I went back to somewhere like called Elm Park, but because I'd filmed it all, I just thought, right, I'm going to take photos now. I'm just going to concentrate on photos today, and the other guys are going to do video exploring, and I'm just going to click, 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 click. So I put that video out last night. So yeah, it's just kind of gives different angle on things.
Yeah,
And
I love it when you like I said that the time you took your bike out there and you went up you're going up the ice hill there and you're just taking your time saying, okay, look at, I don't know if I'm going to make it up here, okay, but it's very, very slick. And you took your time, you made it up there. And then when you got up there, because you're doing the 360, and then when you got up there, you threw your drone up. So I mean, that
yeah,
was actually really cool how you switch from the 360 and then all of a sudden you got the drone footage. So that was pretty neat.
yeah, I should do more of it, but it's mostly down to keeping the weight down in my pack
Yeah.
because over 3 or 4 hours carrying a lot of camera equipment around can be a little bit, you know, weigh you down a bit. So I'm toying with the idea of getting another Mavic, but I'm going to get one that's a bit more powerful and still as small, but can
Yeah.
handle the wind a bit better. Because the first Mavic, it was atrocious, and I want to try and not have to carry a full size Mavic, which would obviously have no problems at all with the wind because it's like it's quite heavy. It's a brick, So yeah. But yeah, I like to kind of go back and film things again, and revisit them. And if you want to produce these like very professional videos, which some other channels do,
Mhm.
I mean, it's not going to just take you an hour. It's going to take you all
Take a
day
long
because
time.
you're filming, 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 setting up the lights so it looks cooler, rather than just a front light, which makes everything look a bit flat. They're sort of putting lights in places and walking through, doing slow motion shots and all that. I kind of can't bring myself to do it. I know about how to do it, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, God, I just want to do a walk through, explore, and bang, that's it. Take the drone up briefly, and that's good for me. Because I'm not necessarily trying to create an artistic masterpiece. I'm just trying to film and explore.
Just give them an idea of what you're doing.
Yeah,
Like I have a good friend of mine, Chris Lockhart, who is an urban explorer, and he's done some like locations. I'm like, how the hell do you get into these places? Like he got into a just recently. He did a one of the areas where they had kept the Russian space shuttles,
yeah,
and the one was still in there. It's been destroyed, not destroyed, but it ruined because of the roof collapsing. I believe it was in a part of Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan. Yeah,
Yes,
mm,
and he was able to get in there, but just the journey to get to this place is just. But all he did was GoPro it, and showed without it didn't have any music, didn't have any like fancy edits or anything like that, just edit, bang, we're there, blah blah blah, this is what I'm seeing,
yeah,
because his primary objective is photography. He's a photographer, professional photographer, but he,
mm.
he loves going to abandoned locations. Like he's been to so many different all over the place. It's just incredible, you know
Ah.
like, have you done stuff outside the UK, or is it
Years
the
ago, I went to Area 51 before everybody knew what it was, and I still have to edit my video on it. But
yeah,
yeah, um, there's a few things like that. It's kind of like I I did a really long interview with the guy that was there at Area 51 doing the Area 51 Research Center, a guy called Glenn Campbell,
oh yeah,
and
okay,
I think I kind of interviewed him too long, and he got pissed off. You could see him like sort of like eyeing the ceiling in the interview, and I was like, I don't want to. I don't. if I edit it, I'm gonna try and make him look as good as possible because I realize but I think I pissed him off.
Yeah.
You know, but that's kind of the way. I'll do it like 3 hour live streams and things like this. And it's like it's not everybody's cup of tea. And for you to sit down and do an interview, I think people are expecting to do like a 15-20 minute thing, and I'm like, no, let's just keep it rolling and just chat. I want to learn all about you, all let's just get it all out, and I don't think he was kind of prepared for that, and yeah, so I kind of pissed him off, and I feel bad to this day. Actually, I really feel bad about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I've only been to a few places. Like I said, I'm not a hardcore, but I mean, I've been out to a few places, and it's always been an interest of mine, and not just because of the paranormal aspects, but because of just the history, the sheer history of some of these locations. You're like, man, this is so cool. Like, and to see what people have left behind. And you sit there and go, wow, it's like a time capsule in many cases. I think
Yeah.
that's the interesting part, the time capsule scenario, if you will.
Yeah, yeah. The time capsules are something I make a joke of because it's something that a lot of other people seem to sort of go into heavily. Yeah. Oh, that sound, man. I'm thinking I'm gonna go and get a can in a minute. I've only got a couple. in the fridge because we were on last night. So I've been on like every night this week doing live streams. Yeah.
I was listening in there for a bit. I was at work and I wanted to pop in, but I was at work, and then when I got home, I'm like, I'm just gonna take it easy and listen and chat.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm being professional on you. We were quite mean to what we said about Taffy last night, but there was a lot more said. But yeah,
yeah. But hey,
but I'm not going to do that on your channel.
no, that's fine.
Just the facts, ma'am.
Yeah, I mean, I had no real idea, but like I remember hearing the name Taffy and all that kind of stuff. I really didn't know who he was, so I'm like, okay, because and I did get the link, and I was kind of reading, and I'm like, I know that, okay, I know this name, and then of course when you explained it and said, okay, now I understand.
I mean, we've done some brilliant places, and we've had some amazing experiences. And no two ways about it. Like, I mean, it irks me to think that he's not somebody I can really trust, anymore. But like I remember we've had some good times, and I just can't believe that things just went so south so quick. Yeah, it was just weird. Anyway, I hope he sorts himself out. I hope he does.
I mean, I suppose there's a lot of people after reading this article, they're probably, do you think, shocked? Oh, holy shit, is he really like that? What the hell?
Well, I see now. I mean, I would never take a photo of myself sitting, like sitting with a fat gut.
Your punch going.
I mean, I'm not a person who really loves tattoos, but like seeing like this sort of thing that makes you look like you're some sort of like prisoner, like look how hard I am, look, and it's like it's all on one side, so it's almost like as if yin yang, like this is my bad side and this is my good side. It just, like, I read into things like that. When I see that, I immediately form conclusions about a person. But like seeing them sitting there like this with a fat gut and man boobs, it's not a good look. And why would you set a camera up to take photos of yourself like that, sitting there looking like that? No attempt to like suck it in and make yourself look a bit better. It's like, I don't know. And like then that photo's out there in the wild, and the newspapers got a hold of it, and I would be like, ooh,
that's embarrassment.
That's not
no.
Yeah.
Did they want to did they really want to give him that sort of thug profile? But I mean, is that really a thug profile shot, do you think? Like your guts hanging.
It's weird. Yeah. It's a weird sort of look. But yeah.
It's like it's talking, right?
Say no more about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
Private joke.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I know.
I mean, we've all had a little laugh at it,
Yeah,
but like I don't understand why you needed to kick off with a neighbor, because I try to get on with my neighbors because you never know when you'll need their help,
exactly.
and
Yeah,
you help each other out because you live next door to each other. You know deal with it in a slightly better way, but going in with the fists, obviously not. No, it's just I can't believe there might be more to it. People have said this. It might be a lot more to it. There might have been antagonism from the bloke, and sort of but again, you resort to that, you're gonna get in. You're gonna be worse off. Yeah, the guy got injured, he got punched, but you're going to end up worse off. This is why when people have come up to me and started trouble, I could fight back, but I don't do it. I
yeah,
always try to keep the camera rolling,
yeah.
because I want evidence to show well,
Evidence. Yeah,
I didn't start this, and I didn't throw the first punch, because I'm sure if there was no camera rolling, that's what they'd say. He's the violent one, he started on me. And I don't do that, because it's no, I always try to take that high ground, because I do have, although some people think it's a weird, shitty, silly reputation of being Mr. Crop Circle Maker, and then you break into places, which is what everyone thinks I do, you break in everywhere, so it's this weird reputation that I've got. I'd rather keep it on the I'm not a violent person, I don't agree with violence, and if people want to show that I'd rather be the one that says wasn't me that started it, and I just defended myself, and just to the point where I think, yeah, it's not a good look. It's not a good look.
do you get
So
do you get a lot of that when you're doing the urban X sort of thing? I mean, I'm
mm,
sure for the most part, the people you always go out with, are the people that you go out with, are somewhat of a I guess an extended family, if you will.
yeah.
But I mean, I'm sure there's people that you've come across and you're like, oh fuck, man, this guy's like a fucking energy vampire.
Mm,
Soon as I see this guy, the person walks into the fucking room, he just saps all the positive energy out of this place. And
yeah.
you're kind of weary, you're kind of wondering, okay, I don't trust this guy.
Yeah.
Or just
On explores,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, I think generally things tend to be quite positive on the explores.
yeah, for the most part, yeah,
I'll talk to you offline about some experiences I've had with some people, but
yeah.
I certainly don't want to go
No, you don't need to.
bringing it
No,
up. Yeah, but I mean,
generalize. That's fine. I don't know.
yeah, um, there have been some strange people on. I've gone out with on explores.
Mm,
They've shown their true colors, spectacularly. Um, and yeah, it's kind of sad that things went like that, because I honestly think they weren't really there to do the explore. They were literally there to sort of see how they could get in with you, get in, get the get what they call it, the clout, the
yeah.
channel clout, get them on the map, get their memberships going, and then it turns sour. Um, because their intentions weren't truly to be your friend or to have your best interest at heart. Never was. They just what's the term? Rolling you along.
Yeah,
It just
yeah,
kind of,
yeah.
yeah, and until the time comes where they're going to do what they want to do, which is something shitty. And yeah, I've had loads of that. And I mean, we've had experiences with security people, and they're trying to get a bit pushy, shovey, and some of the people that I'm with, well, they're definitely not the kind of pacifist type of mentality like I've got, but they wanted to sort of go for these people. I've had to hold them back,
Hmm.
and say, don't do it, because we'll all get in trouble for this, and it's going to become kind of hard to publish the video if we are known for that. So don't, just don't, because it's this video can't be published if you go and do something like that.
Mm.
Don't do it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but there have been instances where I've been on an explore. I'm not gonna say where,
No.
but somebody I was with, um, basically, a security guard was sort of pushing him and grabbing him and walking with him, and he said, "Take your hand off me," and he like pushed his hand away, and then they were walking for a bit, and then the security guard put his hand on him again, and he said, "I'm telling you one last time, you put your hand on me again, and you're going down, okay?"
Yeah.
And then this guy went for a little bit, and then he put his hand on him again, and he turned around and he lamped this guy so hard he went down, and he was seeing stars. Yeah. Now
Jesus.
I am not proud of this, seeing that. Um, but I said, well, shit, we got to get out of here now and hope that this guy doesn't sort of, identify who you are. So my best thing is to remove you from my video now,
Yeah.
so it doesn't look like you, because he might remember you. So I had to remove all traces of this person carefully from the editing of the video. And yeah, I really don't like that sort of thing. I gotta say, I mean, I haven't been out with that person since.
Mm.
Wasn't the reason. There was other reasons, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's really, this is like the dark end of the exploring that I would rather avoid, because I mean, like, at the end of the day, these security guards, they might like be being a bit clever, but they have no power,
No. No.
So yeah.
And I mean, that's exactly what it is. You're just wanting to go in and explore. That's it. It's not like you're causing any trouble. It's not
Yeah.
like you're vandalizing anything or stealing anything. You're just going in there to explore.
Yeah.
It's as is. The only thing that you might leave behind is maybe a footprint in the dust. On the floor, or you might have moved something in a room or something. Oh, cool! Look at this, a newspaper from 1905.
Yeah.
I mean, what has been going into a lot of these places? What's been the most like an item or something that you've come across? You're like, wow, you never thought you'd ever see something like that.
I was quite impressed by the experimental facility at where was it now? Worcestershire, Malvern, the Malvern place.
Okay.
They tested radar. They created a test bunker to see whether it could handle the MP attack and things like this. So they built a mock-up full-size bunker.
Yeah.
And with the doors, the air doors and everything, security booths and things, and it was like, this is a test place so that you could roll this out to the whole of the Ministry of Defence and like secure buildings, secure bunkers, do this, do that, and they tested radar there, but they also they seemed to be testing biological stuff there, because they had an animal testing area. And it seemed like they had monkeys and other animals that they were, injecting with things and, doing all sorts of things. So there was a lot of stuff going on in this place. And it had the real feel of like, if we only knew what they did in this place, we'd probably be shocked. The real extent of what they were doing in this place, not what the public has been told, which there is a lot the public does know about this place. But I got this real feeling, when I was there, it's like, we're standing in places that like some really dark shit's probably happened and been done. So
well, that's pretty cool. Like, but that's the thing. You've got go ahead.
No, they have. You asked me a specific question. I didn't quite answer it. You said, what thing have I found? Well, we were in a lab, and it was like one of these it's like an airtight lab that had special doors to get in, and then it had venting that came up out of the floor to take all the fumes away from you, but it also had vent cupboards as well, so that you put your hands in and you manipulate things with rubber gloves on, so that could be radioactive, biological, chemical, all sorts of stuff. And that room was spooky. It was a weird sort of, that whole room was an artifact in effect, being in that space. And
that would be weird. That'd be eerie as shit.
Yeah.
And again, it's as is, like, I mean, like how long, how much time do you figure has passed since that was active?
I can't remember if we looked it up. I just got a bad memory now. I did look it up for the video and sort of talk about when this place was operational, but I think probably about 15, 20 years ago, it was probably, in its heyday, and it was winding down after that,
Yeah.
so yeah, yeah.
Garrett's asking, what's your top five favorite explorers?
Oh God, yeah. I think people have asked me this before, but I mean, I got to rack my brains and take myself back to some of these places. I really like the Plymouth stuff, getting on Drake's Island, sneaking on, and right under the nose of the people who were working there sometimes as well, like and sort of, which was kind of fun. Going out to the oil rigs, wow, that was like crazy. And then like the engine blew up, so we had to like row back, and it took us like 2 hours to row
Oh, wow.
against the tide,
Ouch.
and it was like in a tiny little boat with exploring with Josh, Dan, like can you imagine if like the boat had gone down? We had a
Ooh.
radio, and we could have called for help, but we would have
Yeah.
been in cold water and drifting,
Oh, wow.
So I mean, the element of not just getting to that oil rig,
Yeah.
but how cool it was on there, and actually to see one in person. Whereas, unless you work for an oil company, there aren't many people who actually get to step foot on an oil rig.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
They're
And
quite
like
dangerous places as well. So you have to be
they seem like
trained.
it.
You have to be trained up before they'll let you go on one. And sort of, yeah.
So yeah, going on a rig. So I mean, for you to go to this rig and get up there and everything else, how hard was it?
It was quite hard
Yeah.
because the boat was very small.
Yeah.
The waves were taking us like from low level to high level up to get on, and we had to time it right. So we said, like, we'll when we get near it now, you just get off, and it was like, so they was getting off, and then like we had to wait for another wave, and then the wave just literally took the boat onto the rig. That's how big these waves were. Like, it was like you're going down, you're going up, but we had to make the most of the opportunity we had, and we had to try and do what we could, and yeah, it wasn't easy to do, but once we were on the oil rig, it was easy to film. But like getting back was the issue. Then it was like, oh shit, that was kind of mad. Um, Getting caught, these things seem to happen with Dan a lot. I must be honest, because we're forced into a situation where like Dan needs to do something, and he's come a long way. So you kind of, you put that little bit of extra effort into doing something in adverse conditions that I would normally, if I went down there and I saw that those waves were up, I'd probably go, folks, I reckon it's probably not a good idea today. We'll all come back again, because I don't want to sort of put you in, harm's way, and take chances. We need calm conditions. But of course, we got to Scotland, we got to take whatever conditions we got, and otherwise we're going to go a long way home. And yeah, so yeah, it wasn't ideal. But the next day we managed to get everybody out there with that little replacement engine which Steve Ronin bought, which was cool, and but yeah, what a that was a hard one to do. But the
Yeah.
memories are a lot more vivid because it was very hard. Then there was the other time with Dan. Again, these things happen a lot with Dan. I know it's like fated to have issues and problems when Dan's around, like, and it's genuine, cock ups, really, in things that are real situations, like, so like there was the time we went down to Plymouth, and we went to go to Drake's Island, and I literally told the guys that we need to start this early. I always say boat early, boat early, no messing about, boat early.
Yeah.
So we didn't get there till about 2 in the afternoon, and I said, by the time we ferry you all across to the island, it's going to be getting dark. You do,
Yeah.
like, you do realize this. You're not going to have time to explore the island. It's really going to be like a visit there and a visit back. We'll have to do this again because we're way too late in the day. I just to let you know, And they said, yeah, okay, well, let's do it, you know. And then, of course, the reality of, well, we're going to be in a boat at night navigating, you know, like in the dark,
Yeah.
which I was comfortable with, but they weren't, you know, and there was a, you know, palpable scaredness. Whereas I was like, well, it's a boat, it's dark, you know, we have torches, we can be seen, other people can see us, you know. It's like, and Dan was all about like, get on the radio and call the Coast Guard. I go, why? Are we in an emergency? Do you call the Coast Guard when you're not in an emergency and ask them to come and take you home? You know, they will do it, but you will get a lot of egg on your face, and they might want to even give you the bill for it. You know, it's like, and he was like, oh, but it's serious. It's serious. Well, it's not serious until we're in the water, you know,
Yeah.
swimming. That's when it becomes serious, or the engine's failed. We have oars, you know. What's the issue? And he's like, oh no, it's too much. Call him. I'm like, which makes for great tension, but it was literally, they were scared.
Yeah.
And, you know, in the end, you know, we got spotted by the police, you know. So
Wow.
it was but again, they're kind of embarrassing like moments. I wouldn't have done it quite the way that they wanted to do it, you know. I would have gone earlier, and then we'd have got off in daylight. But because it was a cock up, you know,
Yeah.
then you end up with a video that actually has a load of like real tension in it, you know, not made up tension, real tension, you know.
Wow.
So
That's cool. I don't think I've seen that one. So that's up on the channel.
yeah,
I'll have to
yeah,
watch that one then. I
yeah,
think I seen you post it, but I have to watch it then.
yeah.
Oh
Drake's
wow.
Island. I mean, it's a classic, and we get picked up by a black silent stealth police boat.
No way.
Oh yeah, and
And
like,
so when
it,
you
yeah,
were picked up, how did that go?
okay, but
Yeah.
they said, are you all right? And we went, yeah, we're fine. And I said, and apart from the fact that I did tell them to get here really early and they haven't, so I'm ferrying them back, but it's in the dark. I'd rather not be doing it in the dark. And they said, do you realize what the conditions are like in this water most of the time? And you're in a small boat. And I went, yeah. I said, it's very nice conditions. They said, it's remarkably nice conditions. You're
Yeah.
really lucky.
Yeah.
It's okay, because like, you know, like, we've never seen anybody do this, and like what you're doing at night. And I went, oh yeah, I totally realize it's crazy. But I said, but I have to get them home, and I'm fully prepared to do that, you know. And they said, are you all right with carrying on? And I went, yeah. And Andrew said, can I come on your boat? Because they have this huge boat. And you're like, yeah, come on. Come on. I said, yeah, fine, that's less weight, we'll get back quicker, thank
Yeah,
you. You know, so
exactly.
Andrew went on the boat. Like, it's classic, it's absolute
That is so
classic,
cool.
you know. And they're like, but you're all right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. They're all panicking, I'm fine.
Do they know
Yeah.
where you were, where you were coming from, sort of thing?
Yeah, from Drake's Island, you
Okay.
know, which technically is private property, so we weren't meant to be there. But they weren't questioning that. They were just questioning the safety of
Yeah,
being in a small
why?
boat at
Yeah.
night, you know, without the correct lights and things, you know.
Oh,
But
that's
yeah,
hilarious.
yeah, which is technically, you're not meant to really be out in a boat at night without having nav lights, red and green and white at the back, you know. So yeah,
That is cool. I'll have to watch out for sure then.
yeah. So
Uh,
I mean, I was operating with my night vision so that we didn't give ourselves away whilst we were doing it. I wanted to be as stealthy as possible. I wanted to be like the police, you know.
yeah.
But like, I was literally, you know, on the engine of the boat with a night vision,
And
like
you didn't
seeing it.
see them? Did you didn't see them
I
coming?
oh yeah, I kind of saw them coming, but there was
Yeah.
no way they knew we were there, and
Yeah.
they were obviously watching us for a while, because
Okay.
at night, I mean, there's nuclear subs in Plymouth.
Yeah.
So there's nuclear weapons. So
Oh,
you've
okay.
got the very visible, highly reflective police boats where they'll come out with lights, and then you've
Yeah.
got the stealth
The
police who are
stealthy
sort
one.
of, you know, watching. And when they know where everybody is, they probably got a full radar map of who's where and what's happening. And they were like, what are these people doing? Where are they going?
Yeah.
But we weren't
Uh,
near that. We weren't near the nuclear subs, because they're around the corner, you know.
yeah.
But they're probably going like, what exactly is going on here? Like, this doesn't seem right. We just ask them what they're doing, and it's like, so.
Joe, I think we got a couple nutcases in a small boat here.
Yeah. So that was again amazing because of the balls up, the tension. Like people were like shitting themselves. Because it was like they were hoping they were going to get back in one piece, not fall in the water and have to be rescued. And some of them wanted to be rescued, even though we didn't need to be rescued. It's like, it's like, yeah,
I'm climbing out of the boat. See you guys later.
yeah.
That's cool though. I mean, just that experience alone would be pretty cool. It really would. Sure, it's dangerous and everything else, but everything turned out fine. Thankfully, and like you said, the conditions were good.
Yeah,
Thankfully,
perfect, absolutely perfect.
Yeah,
so there was no I've been out in worse conditions than that, so there was no reason to be kind of flapping at all. Yeah.
That would have been that
but
sounds like
but
fun.
this is like you got to bear, it's like I would take people out flying in my aircraft, and like the slightest bump, and they think that the aircraft was going to fall apart, and they crap themselves. But I'm like, this is nothing. Like I'm like used to being like, like, and I'll flying along quite happily because I'm used to it. But like even like tilt the aircraft to turn, which you'd think everybody's been in an aircraft, they know it has to tilt to turn, and you tilt, they go, whoa, what is it? Is it meant to do that? And I'm like, yeah, like it's an aircraft and turning. Look, it's don't worry, you're cool. And they're like, whoa, and it's like, and it's don't, just I'll tell you if you have to worry. Until I tell you to worry, don't worry. You're totally cool. Like nothing's wrong with it. So there's it's the same sort of thing with the boat, like because it's dark and people don't know what's going on. Like the little waves, they were like waves that come up, but they're very long, very long, drawn out. So basically, what do they call it? It's not the wave. It's not a wave. It's like a lifting. So you lift and go up and down, but very, very slow. Like over maybe 10 seconds you go up, and then over the next 10 seconds you go down, and it's just like that sort of thing. And they're like, well, "What's that? What's that?" And I'm like, "It's nothing. It's just
nothing.
Water. So that's what water does." And they're like, "Are you sure? Is it?" And I'm like, "Look. The thing is, you can use it to your advantage. If you stay ahead of the wave, it'll actually push you along, so you can actually use it like to push you. You get a free ride, like surfing, And so I was like trying to explain this to them, and they're like, "Oh man, doesn't seem right." It's like, oh, it's fine, just So yeah, it was all good. Yeah, it was all good.
So that's it. That's in your top 5.
Yeah, and the hotels which were built into these forts on the Solent, they were absolutely amazing because it's like we come from land, we sneaked on, nobody knows we're there, we got the whole run of the place.
Okay.
And it's just amazing, the actual way that it was done out, and it's like pristine.
How big
condition.
how big are we talking here? Like how much square footage or whatever? How big are we talking?
I'm not a good guesser, but I would reckon probably about 100 meters across. So 300, or maybe more than that, like maybe 500 foot across, round, and then like 7 levels deep.
Oh wow. Okay.
And yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, they're fascinating if you haven't seen them. And there were some interesting moments there, like Kaylee Colston was with us, and I needed to get my boat, which had kind of floated out, and I said, I need to get to the boat, so I'm going to have to undress and get in there unless somebody else wants to do it. I'm thinking like nobody's going to be crazy enough to want to get in the water to go and get the boat. And Kaylee said, I'll do it. She was very eager. I'm like, oh, we've amazing. And she said, I'll swim over to the boat. I went, no. She says, I'm a good swimmer. I said, no, you're not. No, you're not. You think you are. There's 10-mile-an-hour tide going past here. I said, the moment you hit the water, before you even go like that, you're going to be off at 10 miles an hour. I said, you have to hold on to the rope and get across the boat on that. And I said, when you get in that water, you're going to feel it going past you like that, whoosh. And she went in the water, and she was like, straight away got pulled out. And I said, yeah, and don't you let go of that rope at all. You know, you do, if it comes off the boat, you hold on to the rope, because we're gonna have to pull you back. You know, and it was like, and she said, then she said, I really didn't expect it to be that much. I said, no, you're expecting it to be like what it's like on the beach.
Yeah.
You get in the water and get out, and it's nice. We're in the middle of the ocean, and the tide is tidal. It's coming in and out and in and out. And, you know, depending on what time it is, it's going 10 miles an hour. Sometimes it could be going even more than that, you know? So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly, Jordy. People don't realize the power of the tides. Absolutely, yeah. Like,
yeah.
if you're not prepared, and if you're not, you know, in many cases trained, you know, experienced, you'd be screwed.
There's things that nearly caught me out, like Nab Tower. That's another good one. We went 6 miles out on the boat to get to this tower.
Yeah.
And, you know, so we had a look around it, and I tied the boat up, which I got in trouble for, because you're not allowed to tie a boat, you know, in British maritime law, you're not allowed to tie a boat to a lighthouse. It's illegal.
Really?
So they were gonna criminally prosecute me for it. For the sum, the maximum fine was £50. But they were going to criminally prosecute me for £50.
Yeah.
And I made a case to them. I said, it's not in the public interest. I said, look, you're trying to make me come to the Isle of Wight to be tried when you could try me on the mainland. Yeah, that's going to cost me money. You're trying to rack up the costs and everything, because, you know, the fine's only 50 quid, you know? And it's like, you know, so in the end, they just dropped the case. I said, look, I take on board what you said. I didn't understand the rules, and I will never do it again, you know? So, you know, point made. Like, I mean, I understand. And they went, yeah, all right, we'll drop the case, you know. And it's like, thank God for that. Like, you know, so I avoided that on my criminal record, like tying to a lighthouse on his criminal record. Like, you know, oh, wow.
Why do you think
criminal.
that is? I don't get it. Why do they disapprove of that? You know, tying a boat to a lighthouse.
It's because it's a navigational aid. I'm assuming they're thinking that if you do it, it will be a much bigger ship that might have a mast, and it'll obscure the lighthouse in some way, or whatever. And they don't want you interfering with the lighthouse. But the weirdness of it is that if we were to literally pull up against the lighthouse, let somebody off, it would just be trespass. But because I attached the boat to the lighthouse, it's that act of attaching to is the criminal act. So they couldn't do us for actually exploring the lighthouse.
Yeah.
They were going to do us for attaching on. And I said, look, it's a small boat. You know, it's tiny, tiny little boat. You know, but something that I didn't realize there, I tied the boat up, and then when I went to get the boat back, because of the tide was so fast, I could not pull the boat back towards the thing to get on it. And I really had to put like every ounce of my strength into like wrapping the rope, pulling, and then like
that was a good sound effect when you did that.
Yeah.
The chair.
Yeah. And I had to, it was touch and go. I was thinking, am I actually going to be able to get the boat back to get back on the boat? You know, it was like, I was like, geez, I did not expect this. This is crazy, you know? And again, if the rope had come undone, that boat would have been gone at maybe 20 miles an hour, you know, away from us, into the distance. So we would have needed a rescue, you know. But yeah,
that's crazy. That's insane.
So there's things you learn the hard way, you know, by doing some of these things, and it certainly, explores, and you learn the hard way what not to do. It's a lot easier to do on land explores than sea explores, because I can imagine some might learn the hard way and get into trouble, you know. And that's why I've urged people to really, really go with somebody who knows what they're doing, because I mean, I'm learning as I do it, you know, and I'm learning the hard way, you know. So it's much better idea. Yeah.
But the main thing is you're learning. Where some people, you know, the act of learning is there in front of them, but they don't learn from it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, they go and they do the same thing over again. Whereas if you were to do it again, you would do it by
Yeah.
learning, by experience, you'd say, okay, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this.
Yeah. And I mean, even though, like I say, I've got no knowledge, I'm not stupid. I mean, I've got not knowledge of like flying,
Yeah.
where you're taught a lot about meteorology and things like that, and the weather is very important. So you plan for the weather for your day, and you plan for emergencies for what you would do and where you're going to go if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
And so you plan for all of these type of eventualities. So applying that to the sea stuff is it's a lot easier because you can just float around for ages until somebody comes and helps you. Whereas an aircraft, it's instantaneous. You have to kind of do something straight away. So you've got a lot of leeway. But what you don't have a leeway with the sea is the conditions can change quickly. Waves can get up. You have to kind of approximate what you think the tide is going to do and what the best time is to go and what the best time is to go back. Because there are reasons that you'd probably want to try and do some areas when the tide is slack, when it's not going out or coming in.
Yeah.
That there's like a 20-minute window between the tide going out and coming back in. And if you catch that window, you can speed at high speed and the waves drop. So if there's no wind, the waves will drop. But once it starts to go again, and the tide starts to go the other way, you're going to get the waves are going to come up and it's going to slow you down. So you try to catch that magic window. And had we not caught those magic windows, things could have been quite sticky for us. In some of the things we've explored, like we went out to an island off in the River Severn between Wales and England.
Okay.
We've got the River Severn, and it's known as one of the most dangerous tides in the world because it's one of the highest tides in the world. So
okay.
an area that has a high-low tide by where it's situated is not going to be as vicious as somewhere that has a 13-meter high tide. And that was where we were.
Oh, wow.
So I had to plan when we were going to go by going when the tide came in to get the boat in the water. But that was not the perfect time to be crossing because the tide was moving. So we were then like going sideways to keep going with the tide to go straight. So if there's no tide, you can go straight. If there's a tide and it's moving, you have to go like that. It takes you a lot longer to get out there because you're going sideways to just keep going frontways.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the tide acts like the wind in that respect then. And it slows you down, and then you get waves, as well. And they're pretty vicious waves. And everybody who told me when I said I was going to do this island, they said, have you ever done the River Severn? And I was like, no. And they said, you need a big boat. And like, do not attempt it in a small boat. So my boat was medium sized, but it wasn't big enough, really.
Enough.
Yeah. To really handle the waves and the conditions and you need a big boat. But like having a big boat means how do you own a big boat? How do you store a big boat? How do you get it in the water and everything else? So it's like it's a trade-off. You can't use a small boat. I can't own a big boat. So we have to use a medium boat. And what we have to do is then try and time it well so that the tides drop and rip it quick, get out there, and then wait for the magic time so that we're ripping it when it's calm again. Because as we were coming back, the tide started shifting and we were going all over the place. And it was like, it didn't come across on the footage because like a lot of it was stabilized and it looks quite nice, it was not nice. Trust me, it was like
you're literally being whipped around.
We're being bounced around and the boat is is flexing because it's not a solid boat. And sometimes waves were coming into the boat, like you're catching rogue waves. So the whole thing was, it would have been nice to take the boat in a straight line.
Yeah.
But a straight line meant I was coming against the waves. They're hitting me and they were knocking me. So what you have to do then is you have to go the wrong way, which is the long way, along the edge of the waves so that you're moving with the tide and the waves ain't hitting you hard. So you're sort of like cruising with them, but going away in the wrong direction. And then when you get in closer to shore where the waves are less, then you correct and go up and then get into where you need to go. But like you're not going in a straight line where you want to go. You're having to like compensate for all the waves and the tide and everything. And it's really something that like if you get it wrong, the boat will go into the water, fill up with water, and then everybody's going to be in a boat, which they like having to try and like get water out of as quickly as they possibly could, and sort of like, luckily we didn't enter that situation, but I think that was, by trying continuously, you're steering in and out of the waves and finding the best ones, and you're not going in a straight line, and you're fighting to kind of like maneuver between all this to get back safely, and it's like, yeah, that was real.
Kind
That
of
was
like
very real.
this, Matt. Kind of like this, right?
Oh, you can. Jeez, I've seen this. Yeah. Bounce, bounce, bad bounce. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That is why you really have to know what you're doing with boats, because
Exactly.
that's like an aircraft trying to come into land, and if it doesn't land perfectly the first time, you really should think about putting the power on and just getting the hell out of there and trying again, because once you land badly, you'll tend to then bounce, and then a bounce will become a float and a bounce, and then it'll become a really bad bounce, and you'll just nose in and crash. So you go boing, you can sort of go boing, boing, crash. And it
Yeah.
happens to big aircraft like 737s and things like that, and you learn to just, you had a bounce, the next bounce is going to be worse, so you see him, he's like doing, and he's still full power, it's like doing, and it's like the next one doing, and it's like the third one's going to be up in the air, and whichever, because you've taken off, the boat is now in the air, whichever is the heavy end of the boat is going to go down, which happened to be the front.
Yeah.
So the nose went in, bang, and it's like hitting a brick wall.
Yeah.
You are hitting a brick wall. You're probably doing about 50 miles an hour, probably, and it's like bang.
You hit that wall, you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're flying.
Lucky he didn't break his neck.
Yeah.
Lucky, very lucky. I mean, people on jet skis do this.
Yeah.
They're going along, it's all great fun. They hit a wrong wave. They go in the air, nose comes down, bang. I've seen it happen to a friend of mine. He was like really winded and injured and bruised, and I said, look, we can tow the jet ski back. You can jump in my boat if you want. Don't force yourself to go back if you're injured. Like, get in the boat, get in my boat. We'll tow your jet ski back. He was like, no, I'm all right. I'm all right. I was like, don't push it.
Being a man, Matt.
He's being a man. Yeah.
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 And it teach you a lesson, teach you a big lesson. And it might have been the way he might have not had the boat trimmed as well, because like the engine on a boat makes the nose come up or the nose come down.
Yeah.
And depending on whether you have the nose up, you tend to skip a lot. And if you have the nose down, you're plowing, you need a lot more power, and it's a lot less efficient. So it's like you've got to get that right. But like, I'm literally, when I'm going in the boat, I'm literally hand on the throttle and hand on the wheel. And you see some people, they're like hands off. I was like, no, you don't do that when you're in a boat, because like you could get bang and I'll get flung out of the boat. Like,
yeah.
So
exactly.
it's like your hands are like that, and I'm going along, I'm looking around, and if anything happens, it's like boof, power back. It's like straight away. Because, and you don't take all the power off. You have to like halve it, because if you take the power off completely, the nose will go down. It's like, it's tricks. You have to learn them, and you learn them by mistakes.
By mistake. Exactly. You learn the hard way. Yeah. Most people, just exactly. It's one thing to read about this shit in textbooks and whatever else online, blah blah blah. But when you're out there and actually doing this, it's totally different.
Yeah.
Totally. So yeah, that's that's insane. So you've done a few at sea explorers, and you'd say those have been the most interesting, the ones at sea?
I've learned the most. I've learned the most from them. They've been the most adrenaline kind of explores.
Yeah.
because there's a lot at stake. You know, you can't afford to not concentrate on what you're doing for a second. You know, you are glued to waves and what's
Yeah.
coming, and you're looking ahead. So you're glued.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's far easier to fly an aircraft because there's nothing really to hit in the
Yeah.
air.
Hmm.
You know, so you can let your hand off the stick and you can kind of, it might be bouncing around and doing things, but it will still fly, you know. But like with a boat, you don't really want to take your hand off the wheel, and you don't want to really take your hand off the, like, two hands on the wheel
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
ready to grab the throttle, because
Yeah.
you're getting bounced a lot. There's a
Yeah.
lot of violent vibration. And but you're looking ahead for, you're not looking for, you kind of looking for other boats, you know, you kind of scan left, right, you know, what's behind me, but you're mostly like, where's those waves, where's the waves, where's the rogue wave, where's the rogue wave,
Yeah.
you know. And
Yeah.
it's like that, and you're trying to, and it's really hard to guess it sometimes, you know. Yeah, that's and then you get to the location and it's like, I'm bloody hell, like, relax now, you know, because that was intense, you
I
know.
made it. I made
Yeah,
it.
that was intense. You know, you could go there really slowly and take like hours to get there, or you can try and get there fast, but you've got to have the bit of skill like that you build up, and you've got to get used to your boat and what it can do and how it'll behave when, you know, it hits a wave and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, there's some funny things like associated with it. You've got to know how to service your boat when things go wrong.
Yeah.
You know, you like, we've had fuel starvation issues a few times, and I've
Yeah.
kind of learned like the tricks of how to kind of stop that happening. And you know, it kind of, yeah, it's good fun, but really I only want to do it on the best days condition wise. You know, like,
Yeah.
don't attempt anything on the water when the conditions aren't absolutely perfect, because you won't enjoy it, and you know, you'll come home with your tail between your legs, you know. So
What about going to, like, okay, so and so says, look, hey, Matt, I've got this location. Have you ever been there? No. Okay, you want to come out? Let's go out. And you're out. You get ready to go. It's a hike into this place or whatever. You got to park your car somewhere, and then you got to hike in. And have you ever gone, okay, where the fuck is this place? Where is this guy taking us? Where are they taking us?
ooh, I kind of usually got an idea of where we're going,
Yeah.
because I know sometimes people like to keep things secret until the
Yeah.
last minute, like, you know, what they're doing. But, you know, I kind of, I won't want to go on and explore if they haven't said it's this place, you know.
Yeah.
So I can at least look at it on a map and
So you
be
want a
aware.
general idea of where you're going.
Yeah, yeah. Um, you know, sometimes I've just relied on people to kind of guide us through the box mines, because I can do it, and I've got the maps and a compass, although that went wrong once again with Dan Dixon, so we got lost. We were in there for like 9 hours. We were meant to only be in there for like about 5 or 6 hours. And we found our way out, but there was panic there, and like, when we found our way to a door which was locked, but you could get a phone signal, they wanted to call the emergency services, and I said, no. I said, look, you know, we've worked out where we are now on the map. Let's just use that and come back. But it was because I was holding a gimbal and the compass was going off with the magnets in the gimbal. So I
Yeah.
should not have had. I should have I said, hold my gimbal, looked at the map, looked at the compass, and I could have worked out where we were. Once we worked out that was the problem, it was sending me round in circles, because it's like the compass was always showing the wrong direction. So I was like, oh right, next left. Yeah, we're going north. No, we're not. We're going west. You know, and it's like,
Yeah.
so it's like I'm getting it wrong completely. And I'm good at map reading. I am good at map reading. Here's the maps, actually. Here they are. This is the map we used, but this one is laminated, and the one I took down was a printout. So I bought the laminated ones again. Oh, sorry, there we are. I bought the laminated ones again because it fell apart, and they were all like laughing, saying like, I had the map in my mouth when I was walking.
Yeah.
And when we looked at the map, there was a hole in it where my spittle had kind of like burnt the map away and like dissolved it. And they were like, so where are we? And I said, well, we're in the middle. And they're like, yeah, but the middle is disappeared. I'm like, yeah, but I know where we're going. Don't worry. We just keep going west. We'll be fine. We'll get onto the bit of the map that isn't disintegrated. Don't worry. And they're like, yeah, but you literally like disintegrated the map. And I'm like, yeah, but we're going west. Don't worry. It's like, so it's kind of nice to go somewhere where I actually let the other people take me on an occasion, and then I didn't have to do any map reading. I'm just following these guys who knew it
Yeah, you just
back
have
to
to
front.
follow them. They're
Yeah.
doing the legwork, and you're just there to you get to explore it. So that's cool. I mean,
Mm.
what about firsts? I mean, getting into a place where nobody's ever been in before.
Yeah, well, long hikes aren't such a thing generally. I mean, we tend to be fairly close to where we need to go a lot of the time. So, I think about the longest hike we had to do was like maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours to get into a slate mine in North Wales.
Yeah,
But I mean, it was all very easy to do that one. But it was just a long walk to get there.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I think sometimes when you go with people you don't know, I feel a bit of trepidation as to like, do these people actually, know what they're doing,
mhm.
yeah, you kind of those thoughts enter your mind, you put them to one side, but kind of like we're all amateurs, but like some are more amateur than others, and
Others,
that
yeah.
could include me, in some situations. So it's you're relying on everyone else to kind of make up the knowledge or the common sense, because like when I'll be doing something, sometimes I'll say, well, we'll go and do this, and then we'll do, and they say, well, why don't you just do this, because that would make more sense. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, you're actually right, yeah, let's do that. So it's like it's a combined effort from
Yeah.
all of us, because nobody really knows where we should be going, what the best thing is to do, or the safest thing to do. So I think everybody should really chime in and help. So
Well, okay. So what about locations, places that you've been the first person to get into?
yeah, like the BT exchange in Birmingham, where there have been camera crews down there, but they've seen very small amounts, and there's not a hell of a lot is known about it in detail.
Yeah.
So when we got in there, that was crazy, because we found an entranceway, which I'm not going to say where it is, but and
No.
it isn't there anymore, because they bricked it up. It's like it never existed, this entranceway we went in. It's like stealthily hidden, now. But we found this way, and we had to, like, say, is it actually viable or worth it? So Jordan went down with Taffy on the abseiling ropes,
Mhm.
and they went down. I said, yeah, it looks good, like, let's go and do it. And I was like, okay, cool, so let's do it. But none of us knew what we were going to get into there. None of us knew what we had lying ahead, and there were sensors there, cameras there, so we knew that there was a good chance that somebody in a control room was going, who are these people?
Yeah.
And it's like, police, and like, would they be waiting for us on the way out? And where were we going to get out? Were we going to go back and back up the way we came? Or it then became apparent that there were lots of escape shafts, but which one was going to be a good escape shaft that isn't going to trap us at the top, and which is going to be a real escape shaft and is going to get us out? And we chose one, and we got out, and it was like, great. But we could have chosen any others, and maybe we wouldn't have, we might have been trapped and had to come back down and find another one. And it was like there was that air of we really do not know what we're going to find, and we're on a tight mission to kind of like, we want to get away with our footage. We don't want to be arrested, for being there and questioned or whatever. We'd like to do this and get away clean, but are we going to be able to do it? So it was like this, that tension there was great. Real adrenaline buzz that was. Yeah. Yeah.
Those are the best ones, though. The adrenaline buzz ones, like, this is cool. A little bit of
Yeah.
okay, what's going on? You kind of get freaked out a little bit, but okay, no, everything's gonna be okay, and it turns out to be fine. But yeah, but
I need a comfort break. So
yeah,
can
yeah,
you
go for it. Yeah, I'll carry on.
thank
Go
you.
on, go for it.
Okay,
Go
thank you.
for it. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, yeah, that's it's cool. I mean, that over there. Matt and those of you guys in the UK, you have a lot of great locations. I mean, historical locations here. I mean, we have historical locations, but not nearly as much as you guys do, obviously, because the time period. Obviously, I mean, the UK has been around for, I don't want to say forever, but a long time. Here, a lot of the stuff that we can explore, the oldest stuff has probably been here since maybe the late 1600s. Rare, unless you're on the East Coast, in I want to say Oak Island, but hey, what's the truth behind all that fucking shit? But I mean, here, you're looking at a majority of stuff um that you're able to explore, um probably from the early 1800s and up. I mean, with the odd exception, like I said. But you're talking early 1800s, mid to late 1800s, for the majority, and early 1900s, right? So, excuse me. uh, exactly, Jordy. Fucking some of the pubs over there are fucking uh as old as, or older than, a lot of places here in North America, obviously, because they've been like sitting around for years. I mean, and but the cool thing is that, I was just saying that, the history with a lot of the locations over there, man, that you're able to have access to, or you've gained access to, you know, like, Jordy was saying, like, some of the pubs are older than some of, than the US,
Yeah.
you know? And I was saying, like, we're lucky that a lot of the stuff that we're able to here in Canada, explores, we're talking maybe early 1900s, late 18 to early 1800s, and that's about it. I mean, you might find the odd one that's probably in the late 1700s, early 1700s, but for the most part, no. Right.
Yeah, I really like seeing things that you might have walked past your whole life,
Yeah.
and because they're looking a bit dusty and muddy, and the stone looks dark and you can't see in through the windows, and it might be a house or something, and I just love the fact that everyone ignores this thing. They ignore it, they become blind to its presence, and then, like, if you get in there and you find it's like a whole new world, where somebody's like had a business or something, and they've been running this business for 30 years, all the tools are there, everything's there, and the person's no longer there. You don't know the story, you don't know the background.
No.
You have to piece together, well, what was this place and what is it? And I really like the excitement of not knowing what it is you're going to look at. So I'm not really keen to always do research beforehand. And I say to myself, should I, read up on what this place was, so when I'm there, I can actually give some facts and figures about it whilst I'm there. I like not knowing. There's something about just going. You don't know, just go. It's better to not know, and then try and work out what it is, and then piece it together afterwards and do an overview or put it in the comments, the description. But I like the buzz of kind of not knowing, and kind of just going in, completely, you know, sort of prepared for it. Really, I like that, because everything's a surprise then, as opposed to kind of, being almost knowing what you're going to
Yeah,
find before
yeah.
you go in.
I had
Oh,
a chance, Jordy was saying that, some pretty cool ghost towns and stuff in the US. Yeah. I mean, I was able to explore, an old a ghost town in Arizona, along Route 66, in fact. And it is as is. It's never been, it's abandoned, and it hasn't been touched, for hundreds of years. Well, over 100 years, anyways. 120, 150 years. And more, you know, I mean, the only thing is you have to watch out for the donkey dung
Yeah.
everywhere. But I mean, for the most part, it was awesome. Like, I mean, you know, still like newspapers sitting in there from the late 1800s, you know, early 1900s. And they just left them there because they know people are exploring this. Leave it for them, and they can see this shit. It was. It's again. We'll get into the time capsule bit because that's what it was. You know, and it's go ahead.
No, I'm just looking. My air conditioner just made a weird noise or something.
Oh,
What was that? But the what I personally would do if I
yeah.
was doing stuff out in the middle of a desert like that, as a precaution, because I've got it for the boat, so try to prepare. You got life jackets. If it was going to be cold and I was in the water, I've got a full immersion suit, so I'd wear that in case I fell in the water, because you can survive for
Mm,
quite a bit of time in an
yeah.
immersion suit, whereas you'd be dead in minutes. You know, like with some conditions, you know, which is why you don't do it in the winter. You tend to do the boat stuff in the summer, unless you want to, like, you know, fully get into immersion suits and things like that. But I've got it, and then I've got the radio. But one other thing I've got is a personal locator beacon.
Mhm.
Now, some people think that these are only for boats. They're not.
No.
You can carry them with you,
Mhm.
and they're you know, a couple of £100, you know, but you register with the authorities. It's usually the coastal agencies that handle the registration. But if I was going to go out to somewhere that didn't have phone signal and I didn't have a satellite phone with me, yeah, then I would carry a PLB, because if you get into trouble, you know, you just push the button and it transmits to a satellite your location,
Yeah.
and they will send somebody out. You know, they will send somebody. So if you broke a leg, or, you know, was something was really bad, you know, like, and you were stuck in a desert with no water, and it would take you days to walk back, and you might be dead because of water and heat exhaustion. That's an emergency, you know.
That
So
is. Yeah, that's cool.
you push the button, you know. You should have plenty of water with you, and you should try and prepare, and you should tell somebody where you've gone.
Mhm.
But like, if the shit hits the fan, you know, it's one last little thing that could see you, you know, get help. So
That's a great idea. I mean, a lot of people, yeah, a lot of people wouldn't think about something like that. That's actually a really great idea. And
mm,
what do you figure something like this cost?
a couple of £100.
But still, it's something that, you know, if you're doing this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
it's
they're rugged, they're waterproof.
yeah,
The batteries in them last for a few years, and then you can
yeah,
send them back for servicing, and you can have the battery renewed.
yeah,
They're free to use. Avoid the ones that want you to do a subscription service, because actually they're the crappiest quality, and they've got the limited coverage.
yeah,
The best ones are the ones they use for marine and aircraft, because those things are free. There's no subscription, and it goes straight up to a satellite, which is direct to the Coast Guard, who will then alert, you know, even inland, you know, they will alert the police to go and pick you up, or get, you know, a rescue team out to you. Um, and they're totally free, you know. So avoid the ones where you pay for a subscription service, because they've got crap service and they're
yeah,
crap coverage. Use the professional ones, which are free, you know,
yeah.
which I can't. That's the best advice I could give. But yeah,
And
sat-
I mean, go ahead.
satellite phones as well. I mean, I've just been told, I don't like Apple, but this is a kind of a unique function on the newest
On the newest
iPhones.
ones, yeah,
They've got a satellite emergency messaging service that transmits to satellite, and you can send a message. You can't talk, but it'll send a message, and then you can get emergency help. That'll start appearing on a lot of other phones. It's a very good idea. It's a really good idea, but it's like having a PLB effectively. But I mean, you know, as long as your phone doesn't get smashed, because then you couldn't use it, you see. So having a PLB is a backup for a smashed phone as well, you know. So um, yeah, I think having a redundancy is probably the best idea. Even though they've got that on the iPhones, don't rely on it, because your phone could the battery could die,
yeah,
you know, and you could smash the phone, so it wouldn't work anyway. So, you know, a good ruggedized, waterproof, hardened PLB, which is only a small device.
mhm.
It's like about that size, you know.
Yeah.
and it's small. Just it just depends how seriously you take things. Like if you're going to do stuff in caves, you should have a gas monitor.
Yeah.
You should really have a gas monitor because there are risks of being consumed by over overrun by fumes, which can knock you out and kill you within seconds if you encounter them.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Well, and that's the thing, preparing. I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's you're going into these environments, you really need to know how to prepare properly. I mean, as you mentioned,
I
some
mean,
some
every
of the
every time we go in a cave, sorry, mate, I
no, no, no,
cut you
go
off.
no, no, no.
Every time you go in a cave, right, you must always tell somebody where you're going, and you must give them the pin of where you're going into, and you should say to them, "Look, if you haven't heard from us within 5 or 6 hours, get emergency services. That's where we're going to be." And when you change location, you should update people on where you're going. It's vital because the thing
Yeah.
is, if people know that you're going caving, well, there's about 300 miles of caves in the southwest of England, and you're not going to get found for weeks if you're not careful. So, by telling somebody it's that cave, you've got a good chance of being found very quickly if things go wrong. And
So the caves in this, what would you say, the southeast?
yeah, like south of it, you've got tunnels, you've got mines,
Yeah.
quarries, bunkers. There's all sorts of things you could get trapped in. But
Yeah.
like for the police would be, unless they found your car nearby on a road, which why would they? They might be able to track you on the NPR system and say, well, he was roughly in this area. So they drive around looking for your car and, oh, yeah, we found his car. Well, where would
That's
he
it.
be? Well,
Yeah.
and then they got to piece together, well, there's several mines in this area. Which one? What is he? Where is he going? What's he doing? Like, it's not an easy thing to put those pieces together. So I think, telling somebody, yeah, the emergency services don't work for cavers. No, exactly. Cavers have to rescue cavers. Yeah.
Now, are you do people have access to, say, if somebody have these devices that send out a beacon, do other people have access to, you know, seeing these beacons being broadcasted
Mm.
that they might be able to help? Okay, look, and I'm in the area, I could help this guy.
Well, you would have to probably know the emergency services and be called in by them.
Yeah.
So the beacon tends to go to satellite. Not many people would pick up the signal because it's weak. It's a weak signal, but the
Yeah.
satellite will pick it up. But it does have a localized transmission as well.
Yeah.
I think they do a small pulse on 121.5, which is the aircraft distress frequency for calling distress
Yeah.
in an aircraft. But aircraft can also dial that into their VOR compass rose, and then it's got a little needle that lines up to tell them when they're pointing at you.
Yeah.
So when a helicopter is getting closer to your location, it'll pick up your blip blip, and it'll show them whether they've got to turn right towards you or left. So it'll and then when it flips and goes the other way, they know they passed you, so they know, oh, he's somewhere down there. So then they circle the aircraft and then see if they can spot you. So when they get closer to you, yeah, that's how they can kind of work out where you are. But the police wouldn't use that. Aircraft would. So if it was a full on emergency thing and a helicopter came out and you activated a PLB, they've got your GPS location, and when they
Yeah.
get closer, they've also got you pinging as well, so they can actually pick you up a second method. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is yeah, that's great info. Obviously, with people who are looking into this, I mean, most people wouldn't even think about doing shit like that. They just go in, don't give a shit, don't no preparation, just hey, look, I'm going here, and that's it. And
James Jameson says, "Do you think the emergency services are at the beck and call of wanton thrill seekers?"
yeah,
Well, they seem to come out when people wantonly drive their cars down the road every day and have a crash.
yeah,
And they're thrill seeking because do they really need to make that journey? Maybe they're just going for a drive for fun. So maybe people, what you're saying there is people shouldn't have hobbies and people shouldn't have interests and people shouldn't do anything that is slightly risky. People horse ride. That's the horse riding is the number one neck injuries, like, that paralyze people, horse riding. So maybe people shouldn't horse ride. Paragliding, that's the number one killer of people, because of accidents. So, yeah, it's all part of that thing. And I do hear what you're saying, but people have sports and hobbies and interests, and they don't go out there to injure themselves. But when things go wrong, that's what the emergency services are for. So
exactly. Just in case. I mean, like, it's, I mean, how do we define? I mean, Matt, how do we define, when you're doing this kind of thing, the urban exploration and caving and that sort of thing? What's the difference between thrill seeking and actually somebody who's like, dead set on exploring?
Well, I think, if I was a hang glider guy, or a paraglider guy, a horse rider,
Yeah.
a rugby player, an American football player, those things are good. They come with injury risks,
Yep.
so you're going to put more strain on the, hospitals and emergency services, but that's what they're there for.
Yeah.
They get paid to do that.
Exactly. They get paid to do that.
So that, but I would say what we do is less risky, but you do have to kind of take care what you're doing and not be reckless. But I would say what we do is less risky than some of those other sports, because walking around a building isn't that, risky. Going down a cave, as long as there's, it doesn't collapse, it's not that risky.
Yeah.
They've been there a very long time. Bunkers have been there a very long time. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. So things on boats, that can be risky. But the thing is, again, people use boats for pleasure. They go out fishing on a boat and the engine can stop and the weather can change and they get into trouble. Now you could say, well, what right does that guy have to
Yeah.
go out in a fishing boat and fish? Well, he likes it. He enjoys it, but then he gets into trouble. So somebody has to come out and help. And people will say, well, you shouldn't be, you shouldn't be out there unless you can take care of yourself. It's like, well, it's like there are services you can get, but they don't have them in the UK so much, where or they do to a degree, like an insurance service, whereby if your boat breaks down, you can speak to an engineer who'll try and tell you how to fix it, on the spot. And if that doesn't work, they'll send a boat out to pick you up, so you don't have to involve the Coast Guard. However, they can't always rustle up, depending on where you are, within a reasonable time, something to get to you. So it will end up becoming, the Coast Guard or the RNLI or someone else who learns that there's a problem. There's a kind of a camaraderie amongst people with boats. Like anyone in an emergency will help another person in that emergency. So if you call out, you have a problem on the radio, and that's picked up by another boat, you'll probably have somebody say, well, I'm in the water, I've got a boat, I'm very close to them, I could tow them in. So therefore, somebody will come to you and help you because you would do the same for them. So it doesn't have to be involving the emergency services. Same thing with caving. The police would ring the cave rescue, and they love to do this because that's what they train for.
Yeah.
So, they're actually like buzzed, like they've got to drop what they're doing.
Yeah.
They got to do what they but it's a high, that they're going there to rescue you, and that's what they train for.
We have an actual situation. They go head first.
We've trained for it 100 times. Now we've got a real one, and they really want to do it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the question is that urban X, is it just thrill seeking?
I think there is an element of thrill seeking. I like the challenge of getting in somewhere and getting out without getting caught.
Yeah.
I sometimes like a little bit of getting caught.
Yeah.
I don't wish it, but when it happens, it's fun.
Yeah.
And I try and manage it to the best way I can to kind of, get it on film and work with it, So
So would you say you're really good at talking your way out of it then?
Um, yeah, because there's nothing that these people can really do, So
Yeah.
yeah, there's nothing they can do to us. I mean, like apart from stall us until the police get there, but we could just walk away a lot of the time, and that usually works okay. Um,
But
yeah, but it is a thrill, and it's much more fun when you do it without permission,
yeah, oh
because
yeah.
it's a ball ache to get people to let you in these places with permission, and 9 times out of 10 they can't be bothered, to let you
No,
in.
because the automatic response is I find a lot of the times is it's a safety issue. Sorry, we
Mm,
can't let you in because we don't want to be responsible for you hurting yourself.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
which
Uh,
is which is a realistic thing. But I
yeah,
mean, I've had I got insurance, which is now lapsed. But I mean, I could get it again, which I can then say I have liability insurance, so you wouldn't get anything suing you for it.
yeah,
I've had my own insurance to go and take photographs in un unsafe conditions. Like where you may need to wear a hard hat or do stuff like that, and it's kind of you can present that to people as a way to let you in, but it's like
yeah.
you got to go through the hoops and through the hoops and through the hoops, and sometimes it's just easier just to go and do it, you know, and
You
then
know,
it's a bit more fun.
I find that when places are slated to be demoed, I find that if you go to the demolition company that's bought the property, when you ask them, is it okay if I do like a little walkthrough, blah blah blah, this is what I'm doing, they go, yeah, yeah, go ahead, just make sure you're careful. And they turn a blind eye because they know it's going to be demoed anyways. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, well, I've always said this, and I could be wrong. People might disagree with me, but America and possibly Canada as well,
Mhm.
um, maybe more so in Canada, right? America has a very can-do attitude
Yeah.
towards life.
Hmm.
And it's like when you say, "Can I do this?" People are like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like let's do this." Like I want to run an event. Yeah, yeah, run the event.
Yeah.
And it's like and they people want to help and put effort towards it. Whereas in the UK, when you ask, "Can I do that?" It's like, "Oh no," and they find all the reasons to not let you do it, and they just keep piling on the reasons
uh,
not to allow you to do it.
yeah.
And so there's a very can't do it attitude in the United Kingdom, and you have to work really hard to kind of convince people or work past their, prejudices or whatever. And some people just don't want stuff filmed, they don't want it publicized and
Yeah.
all this sort of stuff. You've got to work through all that. Whereas in America, like people just go, yeah, and it's like a
That
lot
that
easier.
that's the state of Florida. Florida, you can do whatever the fuck you want, it seems. But you have they do have that can do mentality until they see, oh well, look at these people are going into this facility and they're making money off this. Oh, wait a sec here. No, 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 no. We're gonna squish that because we want to make a money. We want a cut of that. And they see
Yeah,
money. Soon as they see money, a way of earning money, fuck. Hey, look, no, 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 no. We're gonna charge you to come in.
yeah.
you know, and that's the
That's
way
a
to
great
always.
way to open doors in the UK. That's
Yeah,
the way, the ultimate way that always works is you
yeah,
say, I want to film this place. How much does it cost me?
yeah, exactly.
And then you immediately get like, oh well, we'll sort of get back to you, and then they kind of give you a figure and you negotiate it, and then kind of like that's it. But like free access, like people don't want to get off the out of their chairs, to kind of like unlock something to let you in for free.
Well,
I mean, some do, but not
yeah, yeah.
always. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I mean, there's a place in upstate New York, just south of me, called Rolling Hills Sanitarium.
Mm,
Beautiful place, incredible place. But now it's gotten to the point where, oh well, hey, we can make money off this. They've opened it up and they allow people to come in there and ghost hunt
mm.
or whatever else. They charge them $1,000 a night. $1,000 to come in for just a couple hours to roam freely within this facility.
Yeah.
$1,000.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, before somebody had, well, look at, hey, I'm going to buy this property, I can make money off it. People were going in there roaming freely for nothing.
Yeah.
And this is a lot of the big places in the US. That's the case. Oh, this is a haunted place. We need to buy it so we can charge people to come in, and you know, and that's how they make their money. And they'll claim it's well, the money goes back into the facility so we can upkeep it and renovate it and blah blah blah, which is bullshit.
Yeah.
Never. It's just
Never,
complete
never
bullshit.
see a piece of scaffolding or a
No,
protected roof or something, with a bit of
no,
canvas. No.
no. I mean, I remember going down to Louisville, Kentucky, and there was a big place. Well, I'm sure a few people know Waverly Hills Sanitarium. Beautiful place, incredible place, but it hasn't changed in like 10, almost 20 years now.
Hmm.
It's still, they kept saying, oh, yeah, all this money's going to go into, we're going to put windows on all the facades up there. And you know what? The windows only cover the first 2 floors, and that's it. And it's always been that way. It hasn't changed. But yet they're charging people like hundreds of dollars to come in. Oh, yeah, roam freely. Yeah, you just have to pay $400 or $500 each,
Yeah.
for a couple hours. Hey, Dinkum, how are you? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I have these conversations sometimes, with the owners of places, and sometimes it's off camera, and they say like, "Well, why didn't you just ask us? We would have let you in." I'm like, "Well, A, we didn't know who you were, and like to ask you would be a long time going back and forth. You'd probably think, what's in it for me,
Yeah.
and you'd want some sort of money, and it's like." We do this on a shoestring, and like we spend a lot of money in petrol to get to these places, and like if we had to pay to get in them as well, it would just like kill it. So that's why we're cheeky about it. And they say, oh yeah, but you're going about it the wrong way. We would have let you in. We would have let you in. I said, yeah, but we don't know that. We never know where you're going to say no. So it's kind of like easier to not ask. And they go, yeah, but it's wrong, and they're like, oh yeah, but see it from our point of view, like, we like the thrill of seeing
Mhm.
whether we can, you know.
Yeah.
We're not doing it to like screw you over, we just want to know whether we can, and it's like but now we know that you're amenable to it. If anybody else wants to go in and we hear that they do, we can put them in touch with you. So I do kind of, I do extend that out. You don't get it a lot though, but yeah, I mean, like I'm seeing a lot of people at the moment, some people I used to do explores with, and what they seem to be doing a lot more of is just like travelogues. So it's not
Travel,
it's not it's not urbex.
no.
They're literally going into like locations that are, you know, you pay your money to go in as a member of the public. Now I've done some of those, but it seems to be like, yeah, they're kind of classing it as like this is part of the urbex experience, and it's like, well, no, it's just a travelogue, really. And I don't want to. I don't personally want to turn into a travelogue channel where
Yeah.
everything's with permission, and it's like there's no edge of are we going to get caught? What's going to happen? The unknown. There's no edge of the unknown. Everything is nice and safe, and all that. I don't
Well,
want that on my
that's the
channel.
thing, though. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Exactly, Matt. That's the
Mm.
thing that I think a lot of people enjoy about your channel. You're going into these places that they themselves don't have access to. B, uh, what am I going to find? What is Matt going to find here? What is Matt going to stumble upon? And I mean, like, something like, as recent as, COVID, dude. There, I have COVID.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing what you're going to stumble across, and
Mm.
that's the whole thing. It's unknown until it happens.
Yeah. I kind of you know I felt a bit sort of I felt a bit mean. Like there's a part of me, not complete. A part of me felt mean for like showing him going and all that. But the thing is, I weigh it up against like the viewers want to see this because this is a real experience.
Yeah.
We're not in control of this, and
No.
somebody's misbehaving,
Yeah.
being obnoxious, and he's telling us we shouldn't do something wrong, so he's going to do something wrong as bad as, but like then try
Yeah.
and like say what we're doing is wrong, but what
Yeah.
he's doing is wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I think those are magic. You can't prepare for any of that. They're magic moments. And but at the same time, I kind of think, oh well, I could have blurred his face out or whatever. But but yeah, it's, you meet these people and they're like, you'd never meet them unless you were doing the things
Unless
we
you're
were doing.
doing shit like that. Yeah, exactly.
People showing their real true colors, like,
Yeah.
and trying all these, like a guy who said, like, you can't leave. So he was like standing by a window so we couldn't get out. And I said, well, I'm going to come through the window in about 30 seconds. And if you're in the way, I'll be pushing you out of the way. And if you decide to get fisty, right, then we'll deal with that when we come to it. Yeah. So I'm going to come through. So I'm just warning you. Okay. So we're going to come through in a minute. And he's like, no, you're not. And I said, oh, so what are you going to do then? You're going to get fisty. And he goes, yeah. And I said, oh, so you're threatening us with violence, is it? So I'll have to defend myself. I will. I don't want to, but I will. Yeah. So, okay, I'm coming through. And I just like pushed him out the way. And he was like,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, it's like, but I love that kind of like, okay, these are my cards. What are your cards? What do you want to do?
I kind of got like almost like this Monty Python vibe. When he's like, oh, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. You're not supposed to be here. Like, oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a bit like that Bill Hicks joke. He's like where the bloke goes, hey, buddy, come here. And he's like pushing you away, and it's like, come here, buddy, I want to speak to you. It's like, well, stop pushing me away then. It's like, yeah. So there's a lot of like contradictions and things, and I just like I like seeing how people's reactions under that sort of stress, whether it be the military, police, or I think composure is everything, and it's nice to it's just interesting to see whether people can hold their cool when they know they're being filmed and they want to tell you you're a bastard and they want to slag you off, but they where's this going to go, because you're being filmed, so like you better be on your best behavior. And some people just not on their best behavior at all. They just like drop the veil and just like rah rah, and it's like, oh my God. And they don't like it when you put it up on YouTube, but it's classic stuff.
It's classic stuff. That's what I mean. It's like, it's classic stuff. And it's because somebody's gonna this would make a great meme. Let's make a meme out of this. And then that guy goes down in in lore. Oh, hey, COVID guy, look at that meme there, like
and I mean, but I guess the police, if he went to the police and said, look, we've got they put a video up, look, and the police were gone, and you were coughing him in his face with COVID.
Yeah.
So if he makes a complaint about you, we'd have to look into that as well. He's
exactly.
Like, yeah, but they were trespassing, which is not illegal. It's like, so we've got a lot more on you doing something illegal, the police would tell him. And I'm just thinking, like, all this might have gone on behind the scenes. Like, he's talking to the police, expecting the police to come and get us. And the police are like, no. We're more interested in you. If they didn't steal anything or damage anything, what are we going to go after them for? But you were actually coughing in their face. Like, you're very lucky we don't nick you for this now.
Because that's an offense, right?
Oh, yeah. It's a criminal offense.
Is it still a criminal offense?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Because even though they've relaxed some of the rules of the sort of like COVID situation, like trying to deliberately infect somebody with a disease is an assault. So that's that. But I think it goes even higher than that, because they said trying to deliberately infect somebody with COVID was an even higher assault. So it's an assault anyway. Yeah.
Jeez.
Mm,
But yeah, exactly. People like are intrigued by stuff like that, and they're gonna watch it.
mm.
Like you said, people want to see that kind of stuff because they're not there. They're not there. They're only there when hey, look at, hey, this is the latest, Explorer. This is what happened, and blah blah blah, and it's one of those things that, oh, wait a sec, nobody expected that to happen, but this is great. Let's run with it.
Yeah.
you know.
We got a great one coming up, which you probably haven't seen yet, but I'm going to put it out later on this evening. It's
Okay.
we went underground in Bristol, under the city streets. They've got a river that runs right under the city, like
Oh wow,
so
that's cool.
cars are driving over it. Nobody's got any clue that it's there. Only
Yeah.
people who know about the rivers would know it's there. But sorry, it goes underneath high rises, it goes underneath roads, it goes underneath buildings, public streets. It's just like weaving its way through the town.
Yeah.
And so I made a bit of special effort on this one to like show a map, which is a 3D fly through showing you
Oh,
where the
that's
tunnel
cool.
goes. And then we walk it, and I've got waders on. And this again, it's kind of tidal. The guys I was with were going, no, it's not. And I was like, yeah, it is. And I show footage because these guys were going, it's not tidal. I don't know if I caught them on, camera telling them this at the beginning, because I lost that front bit of footage. So I had to replace it with like other footage. But they'll remember the conversation we had. And I said, look on the wall. Can you see how high it comes? That's like up to here. When we're walking, like we'd be walking like that, swimming. You know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
and they were like, And I said, yeah. And we're going downhill. So the level is probably going to get steeper, and it's going to get deeper as we get towards the end, which it did. And I had to turn back at one point. Anyway, so that's coming out
Okay.
later on. But the funny thing was, we got out of this tunnel and we climbed up the wall, the bank of the river to get out. And then we were in this like office or something. It looked like an office. It turned out it was a homeless hostel run by the Salvation Army.
Mhm.
And so we got into their backyard, opened a gate,
Yeah.
walked through, and we were just leaving over the final fence. And this woman came out. She goes, "What are you doing?" And it's like it's another classic, right? But it ended really well.
It
She
would
said,
have been
"What are you
hilarious.
doing?"
Hey, she has a broom. Why you get out of here?
Yeah. She goes, "What are you doing?" And it's like, "We've just walked up the river." And she goes, "River?" And I said, "Yeah, look, cameras. We got cameras, and look, wellies. We've just climbed out of the river." I said, "But we didn't know where to get out, so this was the best way. But then we were confronted with gates and doors, so we were just climbing over them to get out." And she said, "It sounds so stupid. It's got to be true." And I said, "Look, waders." It's like, yeah. She's like, yeah.
That's hilarious.
Dinkum's seen it.
Yeah.
Seen it. She was really cool, and then she was totally cool after that. She was nice. But the police were on the way. They just immediately rang the police because they saw us walking through the back of their building, like So yeah, immediately phoned the police. Bloody hell.
Look forward to that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
It all ended very well, but it's an interesting little video because I didn't get to the end because the guys who were with me only had wellies and you needed waders because it was going to get bigger and it was getting a bit more sketchy and silty. So, you could get stuck in the silt and things like that if you're not careful. So yeah, but I may go back again, but it's a tricky one because again, you've got to time it with the tides because you don't want to get in there when water starts coming or, it's going to be, not good.
What stays in Bristol? Or sorry, what happens in Bristol stays in Bristol.
Yeah. That's the one.
Well, Matt, we're gonna close it down, man. I gotta do a few things, but great chat, man.
No worries. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Really enjoyed it, man, and look forward to the next one, man.
And thanks to everybody in the chat.
Yeah, thanks for everybody. Thanks everybody, Mick and Winnie and Mark, Jordy, all sorts of Dinkum. Oh yeah, who else is there?
Yeah.
Exploring with Kenny. Hey man, how's it going? Nissan, Joe, and the list goes on and on. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And yeah, it's been fun. Matt, till the next time. Take care,
Catch you
Matt.
later.
Take care, bud.
Nanu, nanu. Live
Bye.
long and prosper.
Later.